Hey everybody, I forgot to start the camera. Um, Welcome to Grooving Goddess. I'm going to use this as part of a public podcast episode, so I will sound a little more formal than I usually do with just my patrons and friends who watch or listen to these broadcasts. So, uh, thanks for joining me again, and to my patrons. I'm really loving this new schedule. You know, I don't I don't remember the last time I have done something 3 mornings in a row. I mean, I seriously don't remember the last time I've done something 3 mornings in a row. Obviously, routines, even though I love them as my being, are something that I struggle to adopt and to have during all of this shit that I've had the last, decade or so. But I am just feeling amazed by what this new format and new thing is doing for me. And so I have all kinds of things that I'm all excited about with Patreon. And for the patrons, I ordered a couple of new decks last night. They look super rad. I cannot wait to get them. One is ocean based, and the other one, trying to remember, I'll look it up. But I wanted to talk about two specific things this morning because I think probably nobody's going to be joining me live today. And for some reason, even as a grown ass woman who's out there being a love goddess, get in your body kind of person, um, it's still a little awkward for me to talk about physical pleasure with a group openly. So that's something that I'm working on because I'm still apparently a 12-year-old girl on the inside. Um, so I was thinking about being your best self or being, we talk about working on being your highest self, the best version of yourself, all of that. And I wanted to talk about the definition of best because I think what happens sometimes is that truly evil thought gremlin that runs around in our brains finding things to pick at like scabs, um, called perfectionism, hears that word best or highest and thinks that that means that, you know, your best self earns a certain amount of money, does their taxes on time every year, their lawn's always mowed, they work out 3 to 5 times a week, depending on what you know what I'm getting at. Um, that perfection is not what brings your best self or your highest self or the most um, aware and expanded version of yourself. It's being in the flow of knowing what is healthy for you, what is giving you joy, energy, what is feeding and fueling your passions, what is, making your heart sing, what is bringing you life. And I mean, obviously, we we don't all yet in the current structure of society always get to have jobs where that's possible. But in those situations, like when I'm doing stuff I don't really want to do, but I don't have a choice to do it, I take that as an opportunity to connect with the people around me who are also in that setting. And that is the benefit, that is the joy, that is the boost that you get and that you give out to the world. But that best word, being your best self, wanting to have self mastery. To me, and in my experience, self mastery truly does not come from that perfection. It comes from learning to flow with the changes of the world around you, your environment, in your own body, in your spirit, in your energy, being aware of those things, like me having the awareness of, something isn't quite right. And I'm having a hard time getting back to my standard Grooving Goddess routine that I've been running, the program I was on. um, so what is that, and what is going to make me feel more peace, more joy, more happiness about it? So that's ultimately what it is to have self mastery. And I don't mean that to sound like I'm saying, oh, I am a master and I have it all figured out. Just that is what self mastery is: being fully embodied, um, multidimensionally connected with practice, and knowing with radical self love and acceptance what is going to bring you the most joy and peace and happiness. And all of those things yield better results in the long run and better health. And it has nothing to do with being perfect or being the best at anything. It's really just being the best at being you, living your life, doing the things that make you happy and bring you joy. Uh, I know there were a couple things I forgot to tell you all last night, so I will announce them on this one since this is going to be public because they're super duper awesome things. My mom continues to do better. We've had some rough spots as she is trying to accept everything that happened. Sometimes I get frustrated and I'm a bitch, not gonna lie, when I'm trying to sleep because I'm exhausted and the door gets knocked on for the fourth time asking me if I fed the dogs. Um, you know, I get cranky uh, when I'm suddenly woken up out of a sleep. But we're working those things out. And as they come up, I'm like, all right, I need to put signs here, here, and here that say, Andrea always feeds the dogs, those sorts of things that will help. There's a number calling me, and I'm going to ignore it. Um, but she's getting stronger physically, and she's trying to accept, that her memory just doesn't allow her to take care of herself, and that she needs to follow my rules. Here's where that parent child flip happens. She needs to follow my rules for all of our safety, not because I'm just being an asshole. Um, and I finally got her blood pressure down because her blood pressure was up really high. But so she got on the treadmill for 2.5 minutes last night, and she was able to go at a quicker pace, and um, she's really starting to thrive. And I'm so excited about that because, I didn't move her in here just so that she could like slowly decline and get worse. I moved her in here because I knew that stability would give her more quality of life for longer. So the news I got yesterday that just rocked my world is that my mother's insurance, she has like a lifetime, word I'm looking for, a lifetime benefit from the insurance for home modification because they have to make sure that she can have um, safe exit and entry from, whatever entryways are in the house. And the front, my steps are kind of wonky. Concrete has warped and it's just not good. It's not even good for me, honestly. Like, I have thought about getting a ramp for myself before any of this happened because in the winter when it's icy and snowy because of the Ehlers-Danlos and my loosey-goosey joints, balance is a real issue. And so on ice and snow, I turn into Bambi, Bambi on ice, where he goes splat. All his legs are out and he's spinning on the ice. So that is pretty much me. And I have to be very, very careful in the winter. So they are going to build a ramp for my mom on my house. This is like winning the medical lottery because I knew at some point she would need one because she's not going to get suddenly. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to put that kind of word or verbiage out there. I should say it's unlikely, but possible but still unlikely that she's going to get that much physically better that she'll never need a ramp, right? So if I get it sooner, she's less likely to break a hip, dislocate something, have some sort of fall, God forbid, hit her head, because that would just make the whole brain thing worse. Um, we needed it anyway. And it was something that I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do like um, a fundraiser or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't. I've been helped and I've been very grateful for that help. And I don't want to ask uh, an already strapped world for anything else. So I figured we would just build one. So that is a huge gift and I'm very excited about it. Uh, so I hope I've made the point about the best self thing or being your highest self and what that means. And I'll go further with that to say that it also means recognizing and being aware when you're tired, lonely, sad, bitchy, angry. You're allowed and I don't want to say supposed to, but it's part of the full human experience to have all the emotions, all the experiences, and allowing yourself to have those and process them in real time gives you I'm just checking to see if, okay, no, just checking to see if that was someone messaging me that they couldn't get in here. Uh, Allowing yourself the space for those feelings and letting those move through you, all of that is going to yield what I consider, personal mastery, the ability to be aware of how you're feeling, thinking, responding in all situations. And it really does become automatic over time. And sometimes new things will come up and you'll have to remind yourself, like, oh my God, you want to heal some childhood shit and some like parent child shit, move your aging parent in your house. You know what I mean? Um, okay. Sorry, I just keep getting texts and whatnot. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is why I thought this would be fun to put on the public episode this week, as well as a little Patreon preview, is I want to talk about um, pleasure, physical pleasure, ecstasy. Um, this image, this is from the Power Deck, and I was going to say I found an older version of the Power Deck that my mom had in her stuff, and it's a little different in the book. So I'll be checking out what the differences are. But for listeners on the audio, there's a beautiful woman that's made out of um, rock, and then another one lying. There's many women lounging at a waterfall, and it's very descriptive of ecstasy. It looks to me what ecstasy is like. Ecstasy is a buoyant state of joy. One of the finest ways to maintain a state of joyousness is to examine the dark side of your being, that instinctual nature that most human beings repress in civilized life. Within your instinctual nature are the seeds of ecstasy. We tend to live in our minds, in our emotions, occasionally in spirit, and almost never in our instinctual depths. We are born as wild as mountain lions, but live most of our lives like sheep, forgetting and denying whole parts of ourselves. Sit on the earth with your back against a tree and get in touch with your roots, which move deep into Middle Earth. This will restore your joyousness and balance. And I'm going to add on to that attending to your physical needs and pleasure not only is it important for your body, it helps your brain chemicals and your mood stability. It helps your pain levels. It releases muscles on your. I'm recording. Okay, I'll be done in a minute. Sorry, listeners. My son is trying to feed the gecko, uh, who lives in the office. But it is pain relief for your body. It is very healing for your root chakra, which is the base or the trunk of the tree for your whole chakra system. It helps keep you fully embodied. That um, root and sacral chakra area. And then also, um, pleasure, whether it's with another person or by yourself, uh, is sex magic. And it's magical. It can be not only emotionally, mentally, and physically healing, but it's that instinctual nature, tapping into your instinctual nature, the earth being, the human that you were born into, this body that you're inhabiting. It helps unify your spirit, your consciousness, and your physical body. And it nourishes and heals your physical body. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit how I personally use sex magic to enhance my life and draw in and attract the things that are important to me. Um, uh, no lie, I have, like, it's not always, like, sometimes I'm literally thinking, I need a new refrigerator while I am in the midst of uh, pleasuring myself. And by the way, for anybody who's new to this, the morning version and sometimes the night version, I am just very informal. I just got up and I'm talking to you from where I'm at. So I'm not going to be like all prettied up, and I'll probably be putting on various beauty products. This is propolis and paraffin. But anyway, as you are pleasuring yourself, oh, and then I need to say something about porn also. As you are pleasuring yourself, um, you don't need to be thinking about the new refrigerator all the time, but just breathing in deeply, because we tend to want to pant more. And so part of tantric sex practice is controlling your breathing, like breathing with the sexual energy and with the waves of ecstasy. So breathing in that source energy, breathing in that energy from Gaia, creating that connection, that loop of energy that flows through you while you are self-pleasuring or with another person. Um, and then as you get close to a climax, that is when you bring in the thought, whether it's want a partner in my life, or I want closer relationships, or I'm seeking a new job. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. You can even, if you're not sure what it is, you just want to um, be on a different timeline, eliminate some things, find a new job, just I want more peace or joy in my life, whatever the thing is. You focus on that at the point of climax. And when I do that, I see it coming out of me, out of my sacral chakra, as like a ball of energy that then goes out and attracts whatever it is that I am desiring. Or sometimes I'm doing it to send healing or assistance to another person. This is part of what I do for clients. There is an item on my service menu called Magic Manifestation. I put it that way because I don't want to deal with the fallout of having sex magic as an item on my services, just because sometimes there's creeps, and I just don't need that. When I work with a client in that capacity, we come up with a statement, like, a thought, whatever it is they're wanting to heal, draw in, manifest, etc. And I will do it and focus on that for them and send that energy off to the other person. I do this with my partner. Sometimes when he's having a bad day, like I'll do it and send that energy to him, and it does seem to um, make him have a better day and relax and feel better. Uh, so it's a very useful tool, and it's a very self-loving tool, and it's also an excellent tool to tap into your instinctive nature versus your intuitive nature. You know, your instinctive nature is different. It is ancient, biological, its own independent thing, and it can really enhance your life in so many ways. Uh, to give yourself that gift every day. And you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be every day. Maybe you're not in the mood every day. You know, I'm not telling you you have to force it or fake it or anything like that. But those are some ways that you can be loving yourself and loving your body. And the more pleasure we experience, um, the less we need to escape, disassociate, uh, you know, disconnect, all of that. The less we want to isolate, and the less anxious uh, we tend to be. So I hope all of that helps you. And now I was putting on this, you can't see me at home, listeners, but I'm putting on beauty products over here. Amplified Youth Spring. It's Yovari. It's from an Ayurvedic product company. I find as I have gotten older, that oil actually works better on all of my skin. There are some creams that I like as well, but traditional stuff that you're supposed to put on your face just jacks it up. Let's see. So, what are those decks that I ordered? That's what I wanted to look up quickly for you all to tell you what is on the way because I'm excited to incorporate these into readings. And then I'll talk real briefly about sonic training. Here we go. I also ordered some new, you can't see it on this video, but I ordered some new caftans or swimsuit cover ups or moo depending on who you're talking to. Yes. Okay. Very excited about this. So I got the Sacred Sea Oracle, and the cards are just beautiful. Um, and Mintaka is, you know, something I'm excited about, and it's so tied in with just everything that I do, connecting with the earth. But um, I don't know if some people in the video can see that, but doesn't look as pretty on the camera, I'm sure. But algae medicine mother, consume consciously. So that looked really interesting to me. And then I also got a water crystal oracle deck, which is from the scientist who did the experiments with the words and phrases on water, and then took pictures of the water crystals that form when different words and sounds are applied. So I ordered a deck which has all of Masaru Emoto's beautiful water crystal photos. So that'll be fun to incorporate. Um, Sonic healing. I talked about that yesterday morning and shared a recommendation that I got from one of my patrons. And I'll be posting that online. So if you happen to be listening to this and you're not a patron, you can go to one of my socials to see the recommendation about the sonic healing. But I'm sort of incorporating my voice coaching because that is another thing that I do for clients. We voice coach over Zoom, and I have not been necessarily focusing on the spiritual, but sometimes things come up for people and it's like, oh, I really had a block in my throat chakra, or it's amazing how our bodies give us clues and signals about where there's difficulties, where there are blockages, where it needs help. And our energy body does the same thing. But anyway, I've been approached by people who want to learn how to do what I'm doing, or just want help tapping into a part of themselves that they know exists, but that they've been separated from for tens of thousands of years. And so I'm going to be adding that into the menu of available services, which is I can't remember what I was going to call it, but just sonic healing, basically. So that is something that I'll be starting to do, and I'm excited about that. And then um, the mentorship level uh, of the Patreon, for anyone who's listening, that's a $40 tier where we have classes and more hands-on incorporated uh, tips and tricks and lessons from my experience as a holistic health coach. Uh, Sometimes I feel like I sound like a pathological liar because I've done a lot of things, but I know I'm one of those people other people listen to and they're like, is there a thing she has not done? And trust me, there are plenty. But I'm going to be incorporating some of that because focusing on our whole self yields the best results in every way, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally. You get it. So for people who are on the $40 tier, I wanted to let you know, I think one of the things we'll start doing in May is focusing on one of the four agreements each month to start off with. I know it may sound like, and you don't need to go out and buy the book. I will share with you in sessions, and we will, go over the basics of it. But a month may sound like a long time, but some of them are so much harder than you think it is. Because I've done this before, and this is a book that, I've gone back to repeatedly for 15 years now, because when I start to get out of balance in my life, it kind of helps me to have a basic user manual on how to move about in the world. That's what it feels like to me. Mine is upstairs on my bedside, or I'd show it to you, but it's the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. But for instance, don't take things personally. Um, that is so much harder to do than it sounds like, because you start to realize. And so, what these do is it helps you pinpoint where your struggles are, where your blocks are, what old programs are running. Do you have a victim mentality going? Because what you start to see is like, oh, everything I do is really about me, and everything everybody else does is really just about them. And that doesn't mean that the interpersonal interactions don't matter, or they don't count, or that you put up with shitty behavior. It's just you have more inner peace and more joy when you can look at the person who cut you off on the road and go, yeah, that startled me and I didn't like it, but they must be in a bad place to be driving that way. And you just let it go instead of like letting it take root and dig its claws into you and then make you just have a crappy day all day and be like, hey, people suck. You know what I'm saying. So that's one of the things that we'll be working on over the next 4 months, since there are four agreements, as part of our holistic health. So we'll put that in the, mm, I don't know, I don't want to give it a name yet, but holistic health is basically about working on your body as well as your spirit and your emotions and your mind, just everything working together in tandem. Another thing we'll probably work on next month over the course of May is how to find your routine, like how to find what's going to work for you as your best self. And we have tools to use that. There's a life wheel that I use that is very effective to kind of help point out here's where I'm rocking it and I feel content with my life and I have peace in those areas, and here's where I don't. And that can be really a helpful visual. So, those are some of the things that we'll be working on. And since I'm going to be doing this twice a day, 4 days a week, I talked about that last night, so I'll just mention it again for the listening audience at home, the non patrons, for the preview that I will be doing these lives twice a day, 4 days a week. I work Tuesday through Friday with clients and with patrons. And, sometimes I do other recordings and things outside of that on the weekend. But one of the things I discovered that I need to be my best self is 3 days off in a row. And if I have the three, like two is not enough because sometimes I need to just to recover from what I did in the other 4 or 5 days. And then I have an extra day to do fun things or to work on house projects or whatever. So that is what I need to be my best self. And so far, this twice a day thing, I mean, it has me so fired up. I feel like new energy is coming back. A lot of things are being restored. And I just really feel like I'm easing into the new timeline that I've woken up on because by now on the audio episode, if you're listening to that, I've already talked about the big changes in my life over the last couple months. But it's like, I was running and then I got to the conveyor belt or the escalator that I was supposed to be on. And now I'm trying to get my footing on that as I smoothly, as best as I can, try to transition into that. So I am feeling great, super excited. As you can tell, I have so much in store for all of you, and I think it's going to just be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to continue to grow this community. I hope you all have a great Friday. It is Friday, April 28th, and I will see you all tonight for bedtime stories. Perhaps tonight it will be some sort of a meditation. Maybe we'll do an animal realm journey. Maybe we'll do a journey into Gaia. We'll see what comes up. Maybe we'll even do like a solar meditation. I don't know. I'll come up with something. But thank you for watching and listening and being a patron. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, thank you so much for listening there. And thank you for finding me at Patreon/Grooving Goddess. So much love.